and welcome back to the Light Club. You've just seen a lovely video there showcasing the new NiSi Fine Art photographic book. It's a very rare book. It was only created for NiSi ambassadors. However, they have left a few aside for you guys to win. So if you'd like this very rare photographic collection book in your photo book collection, all you have to do is head down to nisioptics.co.uk/NiSi book to enter a raffle to be in with a chance of winning. And one photographer that is in that very rare book is the photographer that we'll be interviewing this evening, and that is Marek Biegalski. So without further ado, we'll speak to him now. And hello, how are you?
Hello, good evening, good afternoon, Kim, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for having me tonight, absolutely pleasure. And as Kim said, the book is absolutely fantastic. Can't wait to look a little bit more later on, and I'm highly recommending to enter the raffle.
Fantastic. Well, it's lovely to have you here this evening. Thank you very much for donating your time for this interview. Before we get started, for anybody that doesn't know who you are, can you just let everyone know where you're from, kind of what got you into photography and your interests as a photographer?
Okay, great. So my name is Marek Biegalski, originally from Poland. Live and work in the Republic of Ireland for last 15 years. Photography regardless, everything has started in here in Ireland when I got my first DSLR camera. Then I have spent the time between my family work and exploring new hobby, and as successfully last 8 years I've been working full-time as a photographer. I am ambassador of Canon in Ireland. I do also freelance commercial photography for agency, and what I love the most, it's exploring the world and taking the nature and landscape photographs.
Fantastic. I mean, you're clearly a very accomplished photographer. Your photographs are absolutely beautiful. And tell me, obviously, with you living in Ireland, you clearly love Ireland itself, but you do travel a lot around the world. And this evening, we're going to be discussing mostly your travels to Iceland and some of the photographs you've captured there. But let us know, what is it that you love about Ireland, but other countries as well, and, traveling around the world to do this photography?
Yes, I'm absolutely. I think I'm really fortunate to live in a country on the island, a country like Ireland, Northern Ireland, Scotland, and all Nordic countries are absolutely fantastic opportunity for the landscape photographers. The weather is not the best for people who love the sunshine, but as a landscape photographer, having the four season during the day, sometimes this is what's your opportunity. And I love this dramatic scenery. I love these beautiful colors, cold and the warm, beautiful autumn, warm and vibrant colors, but also this wintry mood, the most incredible light you can imagine. And Iceland would be a country I'm recently exploring. I'm only back from 4 weeks trip back in September 2021. Can't wait to get there again. And I have to say, Ireland, and as I already said, this dramatic landscape is probably the type of landscape photography I like to do. And yeah.
Fantastic. Well, as I say, this evening we're going to be discussing your Iceland photography specifically. So we'll get on now to your first image, and we'll kind of discuss, your thought processes behind this and why you shot it, and obviously the filters as well that you use to capture these images. So this is your first shot here. Absolutely beautiful, perfectly exposed, and stunning colors and light in this image. So you just speak us through a little bit about, your thought processes behind shooting this photograph.
Okay. Just before I started, I don't do composites. All my photographs you're gonna see tonight, they were taken either from one single exposure or either from bracketing shots. And filters take a key part when it comes to the landscape and the seascape especially. This image wouldn't be the same if I wouldn't use the polarizing filter, obviously, and graduated filter to compensate the exposure of the sky. However, light is all what we aim for when we're going out. So Iceland is one of these beautiful, incredible countries when if you like it, the light can really surprise you, like here on this photo. So imagine the image is taken in a certain Iceland, very iconic place called Diamond Beach. During the high tide, a lot of big, chunky pieces of ice resting on that Diamond Beach. The image was taken literally few minutes before sun came up, and as you can see this from the left hand side, the light has illuminated that beautiful, that sun during the slow shutter speed. It is about 1.3 a second. There was a shutter speed. The light has beautiful illuminate the colors on that black sand beach with the water, and that makes absolutely fantastic. And the polarizing filter here, obviously the foreground, which is that the first part of the image was polarized with it, and it wouldn't be the same without that. So it is absolutely essential. And as I already mentioned, seascape photography filters take really key part, and of course, light is the most important too.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, what's so good here as well is how you've composed this image. It's lovely to see how the ice is lined up here, but how it's very well balanced with the clouds, which of course is something that you couldn't control. But having that eye to walk around the beach and pick out this subject matter here, it's just beautiful how you've composed this. For anybody who might not know, what makes you decide to use a longer shutter speed like this shot here rather than just taking a really quick shot? You know, obviously, you know, that lovely long exposure there and the motion of the water has a big effect on your image here. But, you know, what really made you decide to shoot it at this shutter speed?
I do believe, folks, that the best results when it comes to the seascape, when it comes to the waves, dynamic of the waves, my best results, I think it's between zero point 0.6 and 1.3 a second. That from my experience, it shows dynamic of the water the most. And also, as a little tip and a fact, to get even better results, most of the time I'm waiting for the swell goes back. So when the swell goes back, and then I press the shutter at zero point 0.6 or 1 or 1.3 a second, the most, and this can give me this surprisingly sometimes different dynamic of the water. So when the swell goes back, not when they're coming in, it's just when the swell goes back, and then I intend to hit the shutter.
Really good tips there, and hopefully everybody that's watching will, you know, take them on board, because you can definitely see how that shutter speed has really played into making this image really captivating. So we'll head on to your next shot now and see whereabouts in Iceland that's going to be. So obviously this is a totally different image to the last one. I mean, capturing, I mean, seeing a volcano, an active volcano, it must be an incredible experience, I imagine.
Yes, I was so fortunate because I was flying into Iceland on the 1st of September. And when I landed 2 o'clock, by 4:35, I was at the volcano. Okay. And the reason for it, I was going fast because volcano was become active again. So we have seen that volcano, and I was able to use my drone, which is a new thing when it comes to photography. But for last over 3 years, especially traveling in Iceland, drone photography, it shows completely different perspective. I'm absolutely amazed what you can see from up high. So perspective can change everything, and later on you will see the image taken with the camera. The reason I wanted to show this particular image of the volcano with flowing new lava over the old lava is so I use my drone, and I use the filters as well. So on that drone, you see a very dark foreground. Okay, the magma, which is the old lava, was black, so it was very dark. So compensate the exposure with the quiet, bright sky was very, very difficult. So I have used a graduated ND filter from the drone. I have both lovely set here. I have in my hand, and I use this graduated filter only just to compensate the exposure. And I'm using the Mavic Pro 2, which has quite a good dynamic range with 1-inch Hasselblad sensor. However, the filter again, it I wouldn't get that probably decent result of compensating especially the sky. So the graduated filter did the job for me, and to allow me to take it. There was an image was taken with bracketing. All my drone shots come from bracketing for high dynamic range, as they're not as best as our cameras. But yeah, look, I think it's a jaw-dropping experience to see. So if Volcano will go back again, I'm highly recommending to get the cameras into the back and perhaps see it yourself.
Right, beautiful. I mean, you can see there, how using that ND grad filter, that the definition there that you've managed to maintain in the clouds, and in the volcanic cloud as well. It's fantastic. And as you say, you wouldn't have been able to do that without a graduated filter. I'm guessing. I know you say you bracket your exposures when you're doing drone photography, but it must be quite hard using a filter to ensure that you line it up as well. To get that effect as well. But obviously, using a soft edge one, minimizes the lines and whatnot, which is
it's with the drone it's a bit of tricky. So you need to do the panorama. So this shot is taken, it's a bracketing panorama, so obviously you exposure on the foreground, middle plan, and then you go so on until to the sky. However, it's again to get the details on the sky without the filter wouldn't be probably the same. So as I said, the sensor from the drones are not as good as the camera when it comes to dynamic range. So the filters again are definitely helping.
Fantastic. And I believe now the next image is another volcanic shot here. So this one must have been taken on the ground.
Yeah, this one was taken. On the ground with the camera, and I used on that. I actually, by mistake, I used a drone description here on the filter. Actually, I used a landscape polarizer filter, including the 1.2 soft grad as well to dim the sky. And again, polarizer helped me to enhance the lava coming down. So I'm so fascinated with it. It was a phenomenal experience. That's the description of this image. So absolutely fantastic opportunity to see it and photographs this beautiful natural wonder. And again, polarizer in that case allowed me to increase the details and on the new lava coming in on the old, obviously, magma. And just as a matter of fact, sorry, Kim, I like to use humans to give a scale in my images a lot. So sometimes I just like add them just for the perspective and the scale into the image.
I was just about to ask you about that actually, because it's quite a good subject there within photography. Some photographers are very against having human elements in their landscape images, while others love it because, as you say, it shows that scale element. And I really think, without that human there standing there with the bright red hat on, you wouldn't be able to have the same scale there. You would have looked at it, but it wouldn't have looked as, the magnitude of that scene is epic. It's just incredible. Brian Nicholson's asking, who is that in the foreground? Was it not extremely hot?
Yeah, there was millions of people around it. This is some random fella literally came down. I don't know him, and as you can see, many people don't come as close as this guy because there's a lot of gases coming in from it. It's about 1,000 degrees centigrade, Greg. So just to give you an idea, 1,000 degrees. And what I have learned from my colleagues who flew around with their drones, if you go below 50 meters, you most likely gonna get your drone melted.
Wow. Gosh,
Yeah,
it's really something to think about there, isn't it? That's crazy. It's amazing how that person's managing to stand so close to the lava and the magma there as well. That's quite impressive.
yeah. Well, yeah. I think that wasn't great idea. I didn't come very close into it, but I've learned as well. There's a lot of gases coming in, and you may get really really sick.
Mm.
So to prevent that, I just use my lenses for the camera and then and make a composition. But again, I use this guy just to give perspective and the scale how big it is.
Yeah, and it's worked really, really well here. Definitely, it's always good there to think about, where you're shooting and the safety elements there as a photographer. So, some good tips there if anyone's thinking of going to photograph a volcano in the future. Just be aware of the gases and aware of the heat, and keep yourself safe at all times.
Yep.
Perfect.
Exactly.
So we'll now move on to your next image, which is again a beautiful shot from Iceland, something different this time. You've got this epic waterfall. You can see again you've used your person here for scale, and again you've been very lucky here in capturing some beautiful fiery skies. So yeah, can you speak us through this image here?
Yeah. Godafoss waterfall, which is north of Vantajökull National Park in Iceland. It's one of the biggest in Europe, and I have to say I've been seeing over 60 countries in my life. I've been seeing many waterfalls, but the power and the impression of this Godafoss waterfall is just mind blowing. And uh, the little person out there, it's my life, it's my wife, which I kindly asked to stood there for me. It's absolutely safe, folks. There wasn't any risk. It looks like it's very dangerous, she's at the edge. No, it's absolutely fine. And so I've asked kindly my wife to stood there for about 30 seconds because I knew that I was experimenting with the shutter speed. Then again, I took that image with the MD1000, which is a big stopper, and I used the GND 8, which is a 3 stops to compensate the sky. And all about dynamic of the water. Again, it's the waterfall. It's about 30 meters goes down, and you getting the mist coming back. It's just fantastic, absolutely fantastic place to see, to be, to hear, and to see. Not to mention to have a great photograph. And I think again the person stood there is actually giving you exactly the scale and perspective. And sometimes when I watch the other photographs, I'm missing that. This is the kind of way I think my philosophy. It's like I wanted to show to others, share with others about how big is this place, how you know how the things can be different. So water dynamic of the water with the filters do the job here. I think great.
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone's kind of aware of how ND filters can slow down water, which you've achieved greatly here. I think what's so interesting as well, that mistiness that you spoke about there, and that you can see very clearly in the bottom right of the frame there. It's something I don't think everybody's aware of. If you use ND filters in misty conditions, you can get that lovely effect there, and obviously that's been created by the spray of the waterfall here. But it gives you that mysterious element here, which it almost looks like a movie scene. It's really epic, this shot, and the filters have obviously allowed you to achieve that, which is fantastic.
Yeah. Absolutely, absolutely. I'm completely backing up with this, Kim. Yeah, and I'm very often using my filters. I'm using a big stopper combining with the ND soft or hard grad or reverse grads. I'm using the golden hour. I'm using sometimes in the middle of the day to having some uh, different results. You not always get the best light. Obviously, it's you not always have a pink sky, anything like that. So sometimes before the golden hour came, I intend to use experiment with the filters. Maybe I've got different results. So I have a couple of different versions of that shot. But as you said, by using big stopper with graduated reverse soft any type, depend what you photograph, what is the subject, you may get really fantastic results. And that's why I mentioned to you, the waterfall is about 30 meters just down, and you're getting that mist bouncing back with the long exposure. And many people think like, like, it could be funny, it could be just a mist, but that's the results. Brian, the shutter speed on that, I think, was 30 seconds. This is what I came the best. It could be below that. I'm sorry, I can't remember off the head right now, but no more, definitely not more than 30 seconds, because if you zoom it in on the large screen, you can see the person still nice and sharp. So yeah, so I think that was about 30 seconds. Even if you look at the clouds formation, they weren't really long. That's not long exposure effect on them really. So about 30 seconds, I'd say, Brian.
Fantastic. Another epic shot there. It just shows all the different, locations and opportunities there is in Iceland, which is fantastic. So yeah, we'll move on to your next shot here and see whereabouts in Iceland that takes us.
Yeah.
We've got another epic waterfall here.
Yeah, we are in the Hyfos waterfall, one of the most dramatic, and this is because it's due its positioning. Okay, so there is always, it's on this drafty place on the way to Icelandic highlands. So the weather is always like in the boiling pan. Okay, that's the way I have learned it, and that's exactly I would describe when I get there. And I was there twice on that trip, and there was exactly the same condition. So all you do, landscape photographer knows, you need patience. Sometimes you need to wait for 2 hours, and you're having the 10 minutes of the light, or you're having the 10 minutes of opportunity. And this was exactly in that situation here. So I was going from my car twice until I was lucky enough do not have rain over my head, and I managed to literally 3 or 4 exposure. And you're talking about this one, it's about 15 seconds, I think 15 or 12 seconds. I was taking a single shot. I couldn't do any bracketing because the conditions were really harsh. So the rain was coming all the time with the wind right into my face, not to mention to the camera lens and filters. So another tip for you: when you have traveled to Iceland, Scotland, Ireland, or any Nordic countries, the cleaning cloth ×2, it's a must in your bag. And again, for this shot, I used landscape circular polarizer with a reverse grad. And as you can see, the dimension and the details on the cloud, again, the filter did a fantastic job on it. Beautiful compensate the exposure on the sky, and the foreground with the water. It's the rest.
Perfect. I mean, again, another beautiful image. I think the sky here really speaks to me. I love how you've managed to maintain that detail there and that drama that then, relates there to the waterfalls too. And a great tip there about having more than one cloth with you, because, the weather can be pretty miserable in these countries, can't it? And the rain often comes more than not. So it's always good to be able to still go out and do photography in these conditions, but ensure that you can keep your camera gear, dry and free from rain spots. So
Yeah, definitely. The phenomenal place, I have to say. It has to be must list to see things on, especially when you're going to Highlands, as it's on the way. And
fantastic, perfect. We'll move on to your next shot here, which, I mean, I love how you're showcasing literally every element of Iceland here. You've gone to kind of all the different places. So yeah, speak us through this. What's happening in the landscape here, and what inspired you to take this image?
Yeah, we are in the center of Iceland, North Highlands, Hveravellir geysers. Mad place, I have to say. You literally drive for a couple of hours in the desert. There's not even electric pole, not mention human slides and anything like that. You literally feel like you are in the middle of Mars. And
Mm.
then you arriving to the place with all these bubbling hot geysers in different colors. Incredible strong wind. I have to say, incredible strong wind. I really wanted to do the long exposure on this one, but I wasn't able to, uh, 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 you know, hold it as much. It was incredible wind. So what I have done again, this was a CPL again polarizer filter, which allowed me to increase the eye of the central element of this image, which is the beautiful blue geyser. And then I use a GND 16, which is a 1.2, which is a four-stop soft grad on it, and allowed me to beautiful balance and enhance the details on the sky with this beautiful color coming over. Absolutely crazy place. And this image is a handheld. It's quite extreme to get to this, the best composition. I even tried the drone in there, but it was, as I said, it was too windy or risky. But the polarizer here, it actually did the best job on this image, because as you can see, the colors of it is absolutely phenomenal, and obviously the sky works perfectly as well. So I think the balanced sky and this beautiful foreground, a lot of details on them, and the eye, it's very well balanced.
Fantastic. Yeah, I mean, you can totally see how the colours really make this image along with the composition. It sounds like you were really up against the elements here, but again, it didn't stop you. You were there. You got your camera out. You tried, and you got that photograph here, which shows the sheer determination and working with the elements to produce images. I think a lot of photographers, if they're not getting the conditions that they want, you were saying here you would like the long exposure. Rather than trying to just get an image, they'll maybe just not even try. So the fact that you tried here and you got this shot, which the filters have just made it so much better, and that epic colors, as you say, you did a fantastic job here in very unfavorable weather. So yeah, fantastic, well done.
Thank you, thank you. If I'm in my art into this game, yes, I'm that kind of guy. When I go out and when the sunrise is, let's say, 8 p.m. and the rain is pouring, 7:45, is nothing has changed. I'm still waiting. I'm still waiting, because there may be always opportunity.
Mm.
And even when you get there and there's no decent light, I'm trying to experiment. We the photography is a huge aspect. We learn all our lives, and photography is it's one of those things which evolving so quickly. So I'm always experimenting. Different composition. I have filters. So what I'm gonna do, I may do long exposure. So I never try actually this GND with this one. So this is the perfect opportunity until you've got your you've learned, and then perhaps things may improve in your favor, and you may have light like this, because this was the case. We were sitting, the wind was so strong, we were sitting in the car, looked good, but then I said, oh, long exposure, no way, it's not gonna work. Went back to the van, and then 45 minutes later I got that shot. So
Fantastic.
it's definitely a waiting game. Yeah.
Fantastic. Definitely. I mean, yeah, you've done such a good job there. And again, here's another incredible shot, showcasing that drama, that mood, and you've managed to capture a stunning rainbow here. I mean, the colours here are exquisite. I mean, I'm guessing this shot here, given there's a rainbow and you've got that really low lying cloud, I'm guessing that you shot this image in quite unfavourable conditions as well.
Yes, this is probably one of my favorite shots from my last trip. And again, I have introduced drone photography just recent years, and I'm absolutely fascinated with perspective. Perspective, it's so different. Sometimes we don't have to fly very very high to experience capture, see something absolutely extraordinary. In that particular case, Fox, Kim, if you would mind to zoom it in all the way between the lakes. Uh,
See if our
if,
listeners
if,
are able to do that for us.
if you could zoom it in, there's a little car. There is my camper van in the middle of the lakes.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. Can you see?
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
this is my camper van when I yeah, you can drive in literally. When I stood and then from there I actually fly my drone. So it wasn't really too far away, and I have flown for about 120 meters high, and I took this image during the. I took this. This is 16 images bracketed. So this is the panorama, right? And I took this image. Each 16 of them has 3 exposure blended in it. And trust me, during when I was panning, when I was turning the gimbal, uh, the rainbow pops up. I didn't even notice. I haven't seen it because all I was concentrating to have my, I was working on my composition, so I didn't even notice in my uh, when while I was taking it. And what's the beauty thing is, I have decided, instead of polarizing filter, I have decided to put the graduated filter on it, because the clouds were coming. The sun was shining, as you can see here on the first plan, so the clouds were a bit of overexposed, but the stormy one were coming in. And I said, I will get it or I don't. So I decided to put the graduated filter on it, and I took 16 shots. And when I landed my drone, and then I put the images later on in the evening, and I said, "Oh, let me see how this panorama comes up." My jaw went down. I was like, "Holy moly, that was absolutely incredible!" And honestly, with you, the colors in Iceland. I love colors myself. All my photos you see, all my photographs you see, my editing with the images, I manipulate in the colors. What doesn't mean I either decrease them or I increase them selectively. So if the yellow, if the sky is a blue, it will be blue less or more intense or less intense. That kind of way I work on it. But if you explore on this image, you can see how Iceland, the diversity in the landscape, how big it is. It's like you feel you're on a different planet. Every half an hour you drive, you're on a different planet, folks. So it's absolutely phenomenal. The image is too small for you to see. Actually, this is just on the right hand side of the rainbow. There's actually a flock of birds, white birds. I don't know if they were gooses or swans or something, as many of them in there as well. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So this image, it's one of my favorite from the recent trip. And again, um, filter on it, and fly high, and take this image.
What a fantastic story that is. And it just shows the sheer determination that goes into getting a shot like this. You know, how many shots you had to take to get this panorama, and the fact that, you were so concentrated on your drone, you didn't really know, what was going to appear in the frame. I think it really showcases, that the best photographers out there are the ones that put in all that time and effort, and not only taking all these shots, but, putting them together and then post-processing this image. I mean, it's just out of this world, this shot. And it's, what an amazing and inspiring story for everyone to listen to. Thank you very much for sharing that.
Thank you.
Perfect. We'll move on to your next shot here, which is, I mean, this is probably one of the most iconic locations in Iceland. You see every photographer shooting this, but not everyone gets a sky like this. Your sky is just incredible here.
Yes, Kim. To be honest with you, I have prepared for you the images with, I do believe, having extraordinary light on them. I haven't got them at the one trip, so folks, wherever you see this is collection of my images from Iceland. But having said that, this image comes from the west of Iceland, from a very iconic mountain cone-shaped Kirkjufell. And this is another good story. Never forget that morning. I drove through the night from Vik. I said I wanted to see this place. So it was my first time ever visit. So by the time when I get there, it was one of this morning. You were thinking at the back of your head, I think I did mistake driving here. But to be honest with you, we were sitting. There was about 5 or 6 vans, and we were all sitting in the vans because the wind was really, really strong, and the rain was just as bad as you couldn't imagine how bad it was again. So I thought, okay, no hope, nothing happens. So about 6 o'clock in the morning, I said, I'm gonna have a look last time if there's improvement, if there's anything change, and if not, I'm just gonna go back to sleep because I was coming back following day home. And then I just noticed there's a little breakage in the cloud, so I just said, okay, hold on, Marek. 15 minutes after, 6 of us, because there were 6 photographers in different vans, we were all running from these vans into that spot because it literally opened. It opened, the cloud has opened, and everybody, we were taking at the shot one next to each other. We was literally one next to each other, 6 of us. And I met we were having a chat afterwards. We literally had about 15 minutes of opportunity to take this shot, and this is I managed to take 3 shots, and this is one of them. And again, landscape polarizer filter here did the job on the water. Phenomenal. I think, I don't remember the exposure on it, but again, it wasn't more than 30 seconds by looking at the clouds. And the light we've got, it was just extraordinary. And one of my favorite filters is GND 16. I love that kind of, dimension and the details on the cloud, increasing the vibrance on the color. And I think this all worked just fantastic. And one of my favorite image from Iceland as well. I think I never seen such a good light there again, and I've been good few times already. And yeah, if you reward that, I mean, if you patient and you wait, sometimes you may be really rewarded. And again, repeating myself for another time, living in the Nordic country and Scotland and UK and Northern Islands, it's just phenomenal because we have this kind of weather condition pretty much often, and that's what creates opportunities for having a really extraordinary light.
Great story there again. It really showcases that you've got to be in it to win it. So many times we look outside and think, oh, it's not going to be a good sunset tonight, or it's not worth getting up for sunrise. But actually, when you do it, sometimes it can be very unexpected, and it's often the unexpected shoots that lead to the most incredible light. So yeah, it's so nice, like I say, to see an iconic location in such epic conditions, and not your kind of generic shot of this where it's quite drab and rainy and miserable. You've got a stunning light here, and what a great trip and story again to tell there. So yeah, fantastic.
Thank
you. Yeah, and then you've got this beautiful vantage point here, looking down on this. Well, the color of that water to start with is just incredible.
Yes, this was right after I entered Landmannalaugar, which is highlands in Scotland, and it's absolutely jaw-dropping. In the landscape, you're driving in the black sand desert in the middle of nowhere. You can see moss and this green, and then you end up in the place with a sea of waterfalls, I would call it, in the space of 200 meters, kind of band in it, and the colors in them is just of background. Blending with this color of this waterfall, it's just sometimes it's hard to understand. When I speak to my family members, sometimes I show them my work, my images, send them. They are not photographers. They sometimes they don't understand how it's so fantastic. And again, here, polarizer. Without the polarizer, if you look at my images, we already look. Without the polarizer, they wouldn't be probably the same, because they enhance fantastic this condition. Like here, they enhance the colors and then they polarize them fantastic. And one of the reasons I have choose to be to using NiSi filters, it's a quality of the glass. It's just for me, when I spend thousands of euro on the lenses and the camera, I want to have the same good quality of filters, to combine them together to come back with this extra, quality. So the key for me, the key part of NiSi filters is the transmission of the light coming through into the lens. So your sensor, nothing stops because it's a good quality glass, and there's all this light coming through, and the sensor in your camera can record that what has been seen, and this is one of the reasons. Um, uh, Dev is asking what gear. I use EOS R5 with 15 to 35. The settings on this shot, they probably were about 30 seconds. Yeah.
Fantastic.
And then again, I use polarizing filter on this one, and I use the graduated 1.2 soft grad on the sky. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great to hear you speaking there about the quality. So I was going to say the quality of the polarizer there. I've used other polarizers in the past, and they're never as crisp and clear as the NiSi ones. The quality is just amazing, and you can really see that in your image here. The sharpness and the light in that gets into your camera and your lens there. With the filter on, it's just incredible, and your colors, really speak for themselves there.
Yeah.
Perfect. We'll move on to your last image now, which is, at the coast now, and this is like yin and yang, a story of two halves. Absolutely stunning here.
Yeah, we are in two different worlds now.
Again, this is, if I'm not mistaken, this is quite an iconic spot as well. I've seen a few photographers shoot from this area, but again, I've never seen anybody capture it in this light. That fiery red on the left, and how you've incorporated the blues and the sea on the right, it's just out of this world. Yeah, speak us through this shot, because it's like outstanding.
Thank you, Kim, again. I have to say, I was touched with. I was really, really lucky on that trip, because out of 11 days, I had only 2 days of not good weather. Having said that, I took 2 images I can put into my portfolio a day, and this is kind of attitude for me. So when I approach one location, let's say sunrise, in that particular case is the sunset. So this image is taken in autumn at about 1800 p.m. And again, nothing looked good. They were really overcasted. There was very, very dull. And then again, like in Iceland, the wind has picked up and has break the clouds, and this beautiful side light and the reflections with the slow shutter speed, on the first plan, split the kind of frame into two. I call it a fire and ice. Some people say to me, it's like a heaven and hell. And it's again right time, right place, kind of judgment what gear you would use. So in that case, definitely polarizer, so you got the reflection. This is what I was aiming for. And I have to say, again, the quality did the job. And to be in fairness with you, it's a very, very little processing in this image. I literally desaturate slightly the blue colors and slightly enhance the orange one, so they kind of pops up a little bit more, and that is pretty much it. But this is again thanks to the good combination of filters I use necessarily to get kind of results with a slow shutter speed. The shutter speed on that image is around 8 seconds. This is for the fact.
Beautiful. As I say, it's an incredible shot, and I love that heaven and hell analogy there that a lot of people say to you. It's really interesting to hear that there's very minimal editing on this, because it almost looks surreal. To be able to capture and see this, in reality, it's mind blowing in many ways. It's what a stunning scene, and yeah, you've captured it incredibly well here. So fantastic. That was your last image, and I'm sure everyone that's watched this evening we'll see, you know, the diversity both of the landscapes in Iceland, but also what a skilled photographer you are. I mean, every image there was just spectacular, and it really showcases the dedication that you put into your photography, and how that dedication leads to results, and obviously how the filters have massively helped you to achieve those results there. And as Brian says there in the comments, he's speechless, and I'm sure there'll be other viewers that feel the same.
Thank you. I'm glad some people enjoyed it, and yeah, I really love, you know, what I do. I have to say that this is the privilege to say I can make a living from what I really love. But having said that, good quality gear, you know, a little bit knowledge into put into it with the good filters can help you to definitely comes back. You know, when you go out with some extraordinary images, and yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, thank you very much for your time this evening. It's been an honour to interview you and look through your photographs. And yeah, like I say, I'm sure you've inspired many people. So yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Kim, for having me tonight. And I wanted to wish everyone very best luck in the new year, and good light.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Now, before we sign off, just to remember that there is the chance for you to win that very rare NiSi photographic fine art book. If you head down to nisioptics.co.uk/NiSi book, you can enter a raffle to win it. And as I say, many of Marek's images are in that book. So if you want to own them in book form, you've got a chance to win it there. And before we sign off as well, I just want to let you know that NiSi are going to be running days in the coming months, going out with some of the NiSi ambassadors. The first day that's been confirmed is with Gary Go, and he's going to be doing a NiSi Day event. It's like a mini workshop where you can go out and try out many of NiSi's filters. And he's doing it at Spurn Point on the 5th of March 2022. So if you head over to NiSi's website there and click on workshops, you'll be able to see Gary's workshop there and any other ones that are announced in the coming weeks. As I say, thank you very, very much for joining us this evening. It's been a pleasure to see you all. And yeah, thank you again, and we'll see you in the next episode.